Hey gang, and welcome to another Animal Crossing video. I'm Crossing Channel, and today we'll be taking a look at more interesting discoveries within the code of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Of course, earlier this year we got an update for Sanrio, bringing us Sanrio villages and Sanrio themed items to the game from Animal Crossing New Leaf, and this was a pretty big collaboration. However, it seems like other crossover characters could be returning to Animal Crossing New Horizons in the future, and there's actually pretty good evidence within the code of the game that they will. Now that we've seen the Sanrio update happen, it seems more likely than ever, but when could it happen and what are the details that we need to know? Well, I'm going to go over all of this within this video, so let's jump into this. So of course, as I mentioned, in March of 2021, we got a big update bringing back all of the Sanrio characters and all of their different themed outfits and items to the game, which was pretty cool, and this was the first major collaboration within Animal Crossing New Horizons. However, this isn't the only amiibo collaboration Nintendo has done. They've done other ones with their own games as well, and as you can see by these characters which are on the screen, there are a lot of crossover characters which were introduced in Animal Crossing New Leaf for the big welcome amiibo update that could potentially return to Animal Crossing New Horizons if we go by what we've seen in the game's code. So these different characters are based around the legend of Zelda, Splatoon, and we even have one for Monster Hunter as well. There are two other characters which were kind of based only in Japan, so I'm not going to mention them here as the odds of them returning honestly do seem pretty slim, but it would be cool if they returned as well. However, for these characters here, it definitely does seem very likely that they could make a comeback to the game in the future, and that would be fantastic. Of course, many Nintendo fans are loving these different series and franchises as well as playing Animal Crossing New Horizons, so it'd be a great little connection for them to make within this game. So, it was discovered last year in a list of all the different villager mottos, the little mottos that you see on the photographs for your villagers, that there were some animal types that had missing mottos that didn't really fit into the game. And it seems very likely that these line up with the characters that are currently missing. For example, Cat 22, which is empty that we just scrolled by, seems very likely that it would fit into being Felyne's motto, which would appear on their photograph. There are a whole bunch here and they all line up practically perfectly with the missing crossover characters in Animal Crossing New Horizons. There's all the different animal types as you can see here, like duck and elephant and such, which kind of correlate with the different animals and their mottos, and it really does line up perfectly. Now of course this was discovered last year, but it's even more interesting within the context of us having this huge Sanrio update, because before the Sanrio update happened, there was a ton of speculation about that, and people wondered if the Sanrio villagers could ever return to the game. They were datamine for a while, and people were always wondering if they were going to come back, and then eventually they did, which was really exciting. And given the fact that these villagers have their mottos kind of defined within the code of the game, or at least the spaces for their mottos, it does seem pretty likely that Nintendo will intend upon adding them at some point in the future, which is definitely really exciting because these villagers are all super cool. We of course can't forget that Splatoon 3 is coming out next year, and there are some really cool Splatoon themed villagers and items which they could bring back to the game as a part of a crossover. This definitely seems very likely to me, as Nintendo, the same teams for Splatoon 3 and Animal Crossing New Horizons, the teams kind of cross over a lot. You know, there's a lot of people in both of the same teams for these games, so it definitely would make sense for them to do a crossover. So that definitely would be really cool if we did get to see them do a little crossover event for Splatoon, though personally I would rather see them just bring back all of these crossover characters rather than do them just a few at a time. I think that would be a much more exciting update. Still, we definitely could see this happen in early 2022 when Splatoon does finally release, which would be fantastic. Now, personally, I wasn't so sure if these villagers would ever return to Animal Crossing New Horizons, but that was before we got the Sanrio update. I think that gave a lot more hope for us seeing more crossovers for this game. We have seen a bunch of different crossovers, but most of them have been for merch. Well, that doesn't directly make Nintendo money like amiibos do, so maybe we could see a re-release of some of these amiibos. Maybe the villagers could be integrated in a different way so they wouldn't even need to be done via Amiibo, which I personally think would be a lot better, or they could even make some new Amiibo cards for these special characters. That certainly would be very exciting, and I'd love to see that. Personally, I would love it if you could just find these villagers in the game. Maybe there was a rare chance of seeing them on an island, or a special Nook ticket which you could get which would take you to an island with these characters on. Either way, it would be great to see these crossover characters return, and looking at the evidence, it does seem pretty likely that they will come back. After all, we did see evidence for the Sanrio characters in the game's code before they came back, and they eventually did. Of course, when looking at datamines, it can be easy to kind of think, well, this stuff's just in the code, we'll never see it happen, but there has been tons of stuff like the Sanrio that we discovered beforehand that did make it to the final game, and I definitely do have good hopes that these characters will return at some point too. So what do you think? Will these crossover characters return to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and which of them is your favorite? Are there any other series that Nintendo should cross over with in the game? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, and if you made it to the end, be sure to comment Bob's Gang down below too. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and turn on channel notifications for more videos. If you want to help support me and the content I make, consider becoming a member of the Bob's Gang like these people on screen. You can get a bunch of cool perks for doing so, and it helps support my channel too.